In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to day trade using the ThinkorSwim platform. We've got a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and jump onto the screen share. This is my ThinkorSwim layout right here. Now, to make things super easy for you guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share a link where you can install my layout that you're seeing right here. What you'll do is when you download that link, you'll go in right here to open shared item, and then you'll paste the URL right here. And from there, you will have this exact same layout as me. So as I walk you through how to use it, you're gonna have everything on your screen. It's gonna look the same. So it's gonna be super easy to get started. So I'm gonna begin actually by logging out of this platform and logging back in a slightly different way. Let me show you how it's gonna look. Now, by the way, during this episode, I'm gonna do a broker comparison, and we're gonna review each of these brokers here by about 25 different criteria or features that I think are important, or are at the very least worth considering and being aware of before you set up your account with them. And I'm going to give these brokers a Ross score, which is going to be based on whether or not I would use this broker for my strategy, both as a beginner trading my strategy with like 100 shares or 1,000 shares getting started, and whether I would trade it today with the share size that I take on a regular basis, which can be anywhere from 10, 15,000 shares to 30, 40, 50,000 shares, depending on the price of stock and so on and so forth. So we're gonna come back to this, but let's go back on to logging into the ThinkorSwim platform. So the first thing that I wanna do is I wanna go to settings right here, the settings widget, and I actually wanna go in here, and for my computer, I want to increase my memory usage because not giving it enough memory will cause it to run slowly. Now, depending on your computer, if you give it too much memory and your computer is kind of an older computer, giving it more memory is not gonna help it run faster. Your computer's older. So if you have a fast computer or a gaming spec computer, then giving it more memory is gonna only allow it to run faster and your computer can handle it. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. Now, I'm gonna log out here and I'm gonna switch to paper money. And I wanna show you what it looks like to trade in the simulator before we trade with real money. Okay, so I've entered my username and my password, and right now I'm logging in. You'll notice that this is sort of a golden color. So they changed the color theme for when you're trading in the simulator. So you know very clearly that this is not a real money account. This is a simulated account. And I always am a big advocate of traders starting in a simulator before putting real money on the line. But there are some exceptions to that. And with ThinkorSwim, this is the first exception. If you are intending to trade during pre-market trading, the pre-market session, which begins as early as 4 a.m., but for most retail brokers starts at 7 a.m., you can't trade pre-market at ThinkorSwim on the simulator. You could trade pre-market with real money, but not with their simulator. And I find that to be really strange. Why would that be the case? It doesn't make sense. If you're gonna let people sim trade, let them sim trade during the same hours that you could trade with real money. But for whatever reason, they restrict simulated trading or trading on paper money to trading at the opening bell. So one issue that I have with ThinkorSwim is that you can't trade pre-market in their simulator. The second issue that I've had with ThinkorSwim is that in my experience, when I've used the simulator, I have found that the execution speeds are relatively slow. Now, this kind of varies, which is sort of an interesting thing. Sometimes I'll come in here, I'll do a couple trades in the simulator just to show something for a student at Warrior Trading, whatever the case is, and the trade will go through no problem. It's fast execution. Another time I'll come in here and the order just sits there and it lingers. So right there, I clicked buy ask. So let's see. This is a day order. So do you see how long that took? What would we say that time was? 3 seconds? So let's buy ask again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 seconds? I could go get a glass of water and come back in 8 seconds. You should see how quick I am. That is too slow. Now, just for the sake of comparison, I can log into my production real money account just with a different broker and just show you how fast the execution should be. So let me show you that. All right, so I'm gonna type in this symbol, BDMD. This stock is up a little bit. So I'm gonna do an order here for, I'll just do 250 shares. I'm gonna press it right now. Instantaneous. I'm in 250 shares of the stock. Now I wanna get out, boom, instantaneous. Now I just lost $7, but I don't mind doing that just to show you how quick the execution speed can be when you're using a platform that is, well, number one, connected to the market, which of course the simulator is not with ThinkorSwim, but number two, that is actually designed for fast trading. So we're going to go ahead and sell bid on this. We're going to wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, the reason I like to use the sell bid button is because during pre-market trading, you can't do market orders. You can't do buy market, you can't do sell market. And most traders aren't going to want to use market orders because the risk with a market order is that you're going to get a bad fill. So most traders are going to want to use buy ask and sell bid. But why don't we go ahead and test that out? So right now we've got a sell order out here to sell the bid. So we're still going to wait, we're going to wait, we're going to wait. Okay, so now let's try pressing buy market. Is it any faster? Doesn't seem to be. It's the same. It's slow. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that order rather than wait on it. So if you are wanting to use ThinkorSwim and you're wanting to trade see, now that's very interesting. I canceled the order, but it went through anyways. Didn't let me cancel it. So now we'll click sell market. That way I'm not holding 1,000 shares of Rumble here for the foreseeable future without realizing it. Now that's something you have to be a little careful of, because if that happened with real money, you walk away, you think you're out of the position, but you're actually still holding. That could be pretty scary. So here's what I would say. If you want to use ThinkorSwim, and Charles Schwab, one of the most popular brokers in the United States, unfortunately, their paper trading simulator, in my opinion, is basically not functional for day trading, the way I like to trade. It is simply too slow. So this is what I would do instead. I would fund a real money account, log into that account, and even if you only fund it with, let's say, $300, just a couple $100, $200, $300, what you could now do is you could change your order size to 1 share. And now watch what happens when I click buy ask. Buy ask, instant, right? Sell bid, instant. So now we've got fast trading. Now we would see, oh gosh, I just lost 5 cents. So what I would do is I would trade with 1 share with real money. Now, I know it's not ideal because you do have to now fund the account with a couple $100, and each time you take a trade, you're going to use up a little bit of buying power. So, and this is going to be in a cash account. So if you end up taking a lot of trades, it's possible you would need more than a couple $100 just so you could take all of those trades with 1 share. Certainly, if you're trading something like Nvidia or Tesla, 1 share, well, on a stock that's over $100 a share, it's still going to be a substantial amount of money. So this is going to be a strategy that I use, or a technique that I would use to trade small cap stocks specifically. Now, when we looked at the P&L, you may have seen for me today, all of these stocks that I was trading were below $10 a share. So these are the types of stocks where I could take dozens of trades each day with a relatively small account, which I think is what most traders end up gravitating towards. Lower price stocks where you can buy a bigger quantity of shares and potentially get nice percentage returns. So since we're talking about trading with bigger share size, this is a good time to pull up the broker comparison sheet again and take a little bit of a deeper dive here. So obviously, one of the compelling offerings with Charles Schwab and the ThinkorSwim platform is that it's a commission-free broker. Doesn't matter if you're buying 100 shares or 100,000 shares, it is commission-free. Now, 5-6 years ago, when they still charged up to $10 per trade, if you took 10 trades in one day, you were paying $100 in commissions. Today, I know traders who take 200, even 300 trades a day to make $500 or $700. 5-6 years ago, they would not have been profitable net of fees and commissions. So commission-free trading, what has it done to the market? It's increased the total volume in the market because there's no commission. You could trade as much as you want until you've made the amount of money your goal is for the day. You can just keep trading. And the way commission-free trading works is it's based on a relationship between the broker and an institutional trading firm known as a wholesaler. So let's kind of break down the way this works. This is you right here. This is your broker right here. And then, of course, we have the exchange, right? So if you're going to send your orders to the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, historically, if you want to place a trade, you can't just go straight to the exchange. You can't go to the floor of the exchange. You can't do it electronically. You can only go through a licensed broker-dealer. They are the intermediary. So if you send an order to buy, they go and place your order with the exchange. Now, in the old days, they would have to pick up their phone, but now, of course, it's all electronic. So the order comes back to you, and it comes back, it can be almost instantaneous, this execution. And you're all doing that through the broker's trading platform. So in the case of ThinkorSwim, you're using, of course, the ThinkorSwim platform with Charles Schwab. But what the brokers realized, they were approached by some, big money institutional traders who said, hey, how about, here's an idea, how about we buy all of this order flow that you're sending to the exchange? We want to pay you for that. We want to pay you to send all those orders to us instead of the exchange. Well, why would they do that? Because this broker right here is going to act as a market maker, a middleman. And so what that means is that when you want to sell, they're going to buy your shares. And when you want to buy, they're going to sell you shares. And instead of the exchange being the one who makes the money on all these transactions, they're going to make money on all these transactions. And they actually pay a little bit of that back to the broker. And they actually give a little bit back to you in the form of what's called price improvement. Now, because there could be a conflict of interest, that the broker would be more inclined to send your order to the institutional trader who's paying them than to the exchange, where maybe you would actually get a better price, brokers are required to file what's called the SEC Regulation 605 form, which actually reports how much price improvement you get and your execution speed. So how fast your order is executed. So basically, when you get free commissions, we're going to put it in parentheses, free commissions, it actually isn't exactly free. There is a trade-off. Maybe your orders route a little bit slower. Maybe you don't get price improvement on all your orders. But this report would tell you to what extent the broker that you're using actually gives you a better deal than just sending your orders directly to the exchange. So to better understand how this works, we can just look simply at the reports that are filed by these brokers. So let's pull up the Charles Schwab report. They will tell you your average execution speed right here, 0.05 seconds. So, and we can look at all these brokers. We can look at E-Trade, we could look at Webull, we can look at Robinhood, we can look at Fidelity, we can look at Interactive Brokers. They are all required to file these reports. And so I've taken this data and put it into this sheet so we can better understand a couple of key points. One, I want to talk about first execution speed. So how fast will your order execute? Now, I use Lightspeed, which is it's a broker that allows you to send your orders directly to the market, and you can bypass the middleman. So by bypassing the middleman, you can, in theory, get faster execution. And I've timed my trades and found that that is exactly the case. My order execution at Lightspeed is faster than any other broker that I've used. However, I have to pay a commission, right? Because they don't get the payment from the institutional trader, so I still have to pay the commission and pay commissions to the exchanges. So we'll talk about that in a second. But with Charles Schwab right here, the execution speed is 0.05 seconds. So is it slower than Lightspeed? Yes. But it's not the slowest out of all the brokers that we're looking at here. Webull is 0.12 seconds, so a little more than a tenth of a second. E-Trade also about a tenth of a second, matched with Webull. Both of them are the slowest. Now, Interactive Brokers is the only one that's a little bit confusing because the Interactive Brokers Lite platform, they aggregate the data and it's in this super long Excel, but they say execution speed between 0 and 9 seconds. And basically all of the orders, as you can see, fall into that category, which means they execute in less than 9 seconds. So, well, 9 seconds is obviously super slow. And I think most likely they execute most of them far faster than that. Most people that I've talked to who use Interactive Brokers Lite don't complain about it being slow. So I don't know the exact time on Interactive Brokers, but I would say it's probably in keeping or similar to the other commission-free brokers. Fidelity, 0.04, a little faster, and TradeStation, 0.044. But you also have to remember that this is the average. Some orders may go to the wholesaler and they sit there and they wait, waiting. And then finally it comes back. And some people call this getting Schwabbed because it's a brand new word. But what it means is that you sent the buy order and you expected to get filled, and then your order just sat there and waited. And then you finally got your order filled, but not at the price you wanted. So you suffered poor execution speed and you didn't get price improvement. All right, so you've been Schwabbed. But this is going to happen with all retail brokers that engage in this payment for order flow relationship, that a lot of the orders could be very fast, but then some of them could, just by the luck of the draw, be quite slow. So we've got execution speed, and I would say Charles Schwab, it's a little faster than some of the others. It's not the fastest, but it's tolerable. And as you see, from live trades that I'm going to be doing, through this episode, it's acceptable. It's fast enough. Is it slower than Lightspeed, of course, but it's free, right? Over at Lightspeed, I'm paying $2 per trade, and then I also pay routing fees. So the way the routing fees work is when you route your order to the exchange, they do it based on the number of shares that you send. So if you do 10,000 shares to NASDAQ and you're taking liquidity from the market, on that order, you're going to pay $30. You're going to pay a $30 routing fee directly to NASDAQ. So if you take 10 of those trades per day, you're back to having $300 in commissions. Well, $300 in fees to NASDAQ, plus your broker on 10 trades, one buy, one sell. So it's going to be $3. So $6 round trip times 10, you're $60 in commissions. You're at $360 in fees. So it is very possible that I could take 10 trades with 10,000 shares and literally pay $360 in fees at Lightspeed. Would my orders execute almost instantaneously? Yes. And there's certainly a benefit to that fast execution, but I don't get price improvement, and I do spend a lot of money in executions, in commissions. Whereas those same trades over here at ThinkorSwim, you'd have no commissions. You wouldn't have $360. So even if you took those 10 trades and you made only $50, you would be net profitable. Whereas if I made only $50, I would be net negative because of the commission. So traders who like lower price stocks where they trade lots of shares are going to be more attracted to commission-free brokers, just in general. As you probably know about the way I trade, I do take large share size, but execution speed for me is important because I really like trading breaking news. And when news is coming out and I want to get in, I want to get my whole order filled. And if that's 15,000 shares, I want to get in and I want that whole order filled pretty much instantaneously. So the one thing that you also do get at Schwab and all these other commission-free brokers is what's called price improvement. And this is based on, they sort of average it to what your average improvement would be on 100 share orders. And so if we look at this across the board, Webull is the lowest. They have very low price improvement, only 31 cents for every 100 shares. Whereas, and I could maybe change this to just 31 cents, not dollar. So 31 cents for every 100 shares. Whereas Schwab is $1.15 for every 100 shares. So that's just a little bit of price improvement. So that means on a 1,000 share order, you're getting an average of $10 of price improvement. It doesn't mean every time you trade 1,000 shares, you make $10, but it's just that if you had a stock that had a bigger spread between the bid and the offer, you'll just sort of get little fractions of a penny here and there, and they do add up. So when it comes to price improvement, Schwab is also not the worst, but they're not the best either. So there are some other brokers that are better. Interactive Brokers, Fidelity, Robinhood, TradeStation. But these brokers have other issues that, for me, make them difficult to even consider using with real money. So now let me walk you through the layout that I have set up here for ThinkorSwim. Like I said, you'll be able to download this layout and you can load it and launch it just by going to Open Shared Item and pasting the URL that I'll share with you right here. Now, if I make changes to the layout in the future, I'll save and update that URL. So whoever, if you're watching this maybe a year after I recorded it, you'll still be getting my latest layout. So the way I set this up is when you first log in, you can go to Monitor, and Monitor is going to give you the layout of your position. Now, one thing that I'll say is that ThinkorSwim is one of the least intuitive platforms that I've ever used. It's really funny. It doesn't make sense. Now, this right here is Webull, and this is an intuitive platform. Close your eyes, don't look, don't peek. So this is a intuitive platform in the sense that when you trade in it, Your positions window, it feels sort of sits in the logical place. I can go into the simulator mode here and just for the sake of it, buy 25 shares, just to kind of show you what it looks like. So I'll do that later. So we're going to do buy. Let's see. What is this giving me? Why is it giving me this order issue? We'll just do buy market. So so when you have positions, it's logical. You've got your order entry, your open orders. You've got all the orders that have filled. So it shows you kind of your history of positions here. Now, Webull has the same problem as ThinkorSwim, which is that the orders take forever to execute. That took like 10 seconds to fill. But now my order is right here. So when you're using ThinkorSwim, in contrast, if you prefer ThinkorSwim, that's fine. But something that I find to be a little bit funny is that they show your positions on this position monitor tab. So this is where they show your position. So what I often end up doing is I click this little button right here, that little button, and I pop out this window. Just this window, I pop it out and I kind of put it on the side of the monitor that I'm using for trading. And that way I can monitor my filled orders, my canceled orders if I want to, but specifically my working orders. And that way I'll never walk away from the computer without realizing that I have an open order that's just sitting there. Because otherwise that can happen. And for any beginner trader, if you walk away from your platform when you have an open order, the danger is that all of a sudden you come back and your order filled. So on the monitor tab, I pop that out to a separate window so I can always keep it there. Now I switch to looking at the trade tab right here, and I go from the trade menu down to all products and over to active trader. And now on the active trader, I can create this, this kind of layout here by creating a grid with 2 rows, 1 column, 2 rows. And what I do is in each column, or sorry, in each row, I build the same thing. I have a chart, which you can see is right there on the right or on the left. This is my chart. Right here is my active trader tab, AT, and right here is my time and sales window, time and sales, TS. And these are the 3 windows that I keep up. So right here, if I type in a different stock, BDMD for instance, it's not going to change the stock that's down here. This is a different stock on this lower window. So this one we could switch to BTCT for instance. So I have 2 stocks I can keep on watch at any given time. Now, let's say, for instance, that I want to buy, take a position on BTCT. There's a couple ways that I could do it. What I would typically do is I would use these buttons right here. So I have these buttons that I can simply click buy ask if I want to get in. So we can do that again, buy ask. Now this is going to pull up this window right here, and this is my confirmation window. You may say, gosh, that's going to slow me down. I don't think I want a confirmation window. Then what you want to do is you want to check auto send right here. And now buy ask. It's going to auto send your order. And now I'm in 1 share. And this is showing my average price, of $6.83. It shows them up 5, 6, 7 cents a share. So maybe now I say I want to sell it. I'm going to click sell ask. Now, if I click sell ask, that order is going to be on the offer. So I'm going to be selling on the offer. And there we go. I just got filled. Now let's say I want to get back in. Buy ask, put the order back on the offer, and get out again. So you can just jump in, jump out, just essentially with point and click. Now, a lot of traders like to use level 2 windows, and that's fine. You can click on the level 2 right here. My only complaint with level 2 at ThinkorSwim is that I don't find it as easy to read as I would like. So, and what some traders would do is they would create 2 more columns right here. And then you type BDMD right here. You link this up at the top, yellow. Oh, that was green. So we'll make it green. It was already linked. And now we make this one just the level 2 window. So we're going to go like that. So now you've got just the level 2 over here on the side, kind of tucked in the corner. So now you can look at the level 2 here. And what you could do is you could buy and sell using just hotkeys. That means just with the press of a button, you're buying and selling. So the way we do that is we go into settings, application settings. We go to hotkeys right here at the top. We click on hotkeys. We go down to active trader. Now the hotkeys are enabled under the active trader AT window. And these hotkeys include, these are the available ones they currently offer. buy ask, buy market, sell market, sell ask, sell bid. So if you're a pre-market trader, remember, you cannot trade market orders during the pre-market session. So if you trade pre-market, you can only use buy ask, sell bid, and then sell ask and sell bid. Those are the only buttons that you could use. You could use those either as buttons or as actual keys. So the way I do it is I keep my mouse right here on this window. Even if I'm looking here, I need to have this be what's highlighted because this is where my hotkeys are going to execute. They're executing based on this window right here. So I'm going to press Shift 1. Shift 1, I just bought 1 share. The quantity was based on the quantity that was already typed in this window. So Shift 1, I'm in. Now Control Z. Oops, let's see. Control Z, I'm back out. So Shift 1, I'm in. Control Z, I'm back out. And that's how quickly you can trade with hotkeys using ThinkorSwim. Now, if I go over here, I could press Shift 1, but what it's going to do is it's going to pop up a order confirmation window because I don't actually have active trader yet open on this window. And if I did, so let's see. So I would need to make sure I turn on auto send. So I'd have to turn auto send on off. Where is it? Turn the arrow down, auto send on off. But then you would have to actually manually switch the number of shares from this window to this window. So that would be a little bit confusing. So what I would do instead is I would keep on this window auto send turned off. That way you won't accidentally click Shift 1 here and send an order for 500 shares, right? Because this would be an order for 500 shares. That's going to be more shares than you want to send. So we want to make sure you don't do that by accident. Now I'm going to switch over to, let's see, this account here. So one of the nice things with ThinkorSwim is you can have multiple accounts. So you could have a retirement account, a Roth IRA, as you could see here. You could have cash accounts, you could have margin accounts, however you'd like. And the nice thing with that is you can tab between the accounts. So you say, oh, I've taken a couple trades in my retirement account today. Now I'm going to take a couple trades in my cash account, or I'm going to take a couple trades in my margin account. And if you grow your account big enough and you can transition from a cash account to a margin account and still day trade, which means you've got $25,000, then you're in a really good spot. So I'll switch this one to yellow. That's on Pepsi right now. So I'll switch it back to BTCT, make this one BTCT here. And we'll turn active trader off, but we're going to turn the level 2 on. So if you kind of like this layout right here, and this isn't a bad one. I could save this layout and I could make this one one that you could download. And then what you could actually do is if you decide you don't like it, just go to the columns here and switch to 2. Instead of 4, just switch it back to 2 and they'll disappear. Now this is where I spend most of my time in ThinkorSwim. I'm in the active trader under the trade tab right here and in the active trader sub tab or whatever you want to call it. This is where I spend my time. Now, personally, even though ThinkorSwim charts are not bad, I don't use them, and I don't use ThinkorSwim for scanning either. So starting in 2017, I began developing my own software for scanning and for charting, and that's this platform that you see right here. So I use this for all of my scanning, charting, newsfeed, and this is also where we have our chat rooms at Warrior Trading. So we've got members in here that are, typing, posting their, P&L, what they're trading on the day, this and that. This is where you would listen to my broadcast if I was streaming right now. So I use Day Trade Dash for charting and scanning. And so from a practical standpoint, I could get rid of this entire window right here. And if I was, so I give you a layout that includes a chart and includes sort of the basic couple of technical indicators that I like. Actually, I have to add them to this one. So I'm going to go to load study set, cross indicators. There we go. So that's got my indicators on it. But for my own use, I minimize these charts. I get rid of them and I just keep it more like this. So I actually would delete, I would just, unclick, let's see. It's in this window here, take the chart away. I just take the chart away. And so for me, I keep this platform sort of more minimized. It's a little bit smaller over in the corner when I'm using it, just like basically like this, except I got to get that level 2 a little bit bigger. So it's kind of a little bit bigger than that. And then I use my Lightspeed platform right here. So often if I'm trading in two accounts, I've got my main account here, and then I've got my retirement account with ThinkorSwim over here. So I can kind of go back and forth, and I try to keep them on the same window. But you could also do it where, you've got your ThinkorSwim account here, which you're using for executing your trades, which is fine. And then you're using your scans right here and your charts over here. So depending on kind of what works for you and kind of, what's the easiest for your platform. I generally like to have it that I can be watching the stock that I'm trading very closely. So if I'm trading BDMD, I like to be able to have the chart pretty close to my level 2, which is where I'm actually seeing the order flow. Now, one of the things that is kind of interesting with ThinkorSwim is that a lot of people end up using the ladder. Oops, let me get rid of that. I'm going to put this back over here. So I'll add my charts back on this one. So the ladder on ThinkorSwim is what you're seeing right here. This is the ladder. So it's not something that a lot of platforms have, which is one of the things that makes ThinkorSwim kind of unique and for some people a little bit difficult to get comfortable using because it's unfamiliar. So the way the ladder works is 962 is showing you the current price. Now, one of the things that's annoying about the ladder is it doesn't show you the current price during pre-market trading. You can figure out kind of what the current price is, but it doesn't show it the way it's showing it right now. ThinkorSwim could definitely stand, it could benefit from some improvements from actual active traders who could say, this is what you should do to make the platform better. But nonetheless, traders have been using ThinkorSwim for a long time and making the most of it. So currently we see the price is 969. So if I wanted to buy this, typically what I would do is I would click the buy ask button. But during the pre-market session, what I can do is if I click on this right here, you see when I click down here, on this side right here, it's going to show buy limit. See how it says buy limit? Now, if I go up here, it says buy stop. So if I click this, buy stop right here, what's going to happen is if the price crosses 971, it's going to trigger an order that will execute my trade. It's a stop order. A stop order executes a buy or a sell when the price crosses the trigger. So a buy stop will buy me shares when the price crosses 71 or 72. So I'm going to cancel those orders. Down here, if I click the buy button, it's just a standard limit order. So I've got the buy button down there, the buy order down there at 50 or whatever. It just sits there and I just wait until the stock comes down to that level. But what if, for instance, it's pre-market and you want to buy, but if you click buy ask and there's only 100 shares on the ask, you might not get filled your whole order, right? So if we just kind of jump on the whiteboard, the way this works is you've got the bid, you've got the ask or the offer, depending on what you prefer. So let's say it's 450 by 460. But let's say there's only 100 shares for sale there. What happens if you want to buy 10,000 shares? Well, if you press buy ask right here on ThinkorSwim, what would happen is you would buy these 100 shares right here, and then you're going to become the highest bidder at 460 to buy 9,900 shares. And the price is going to go up to 462. Oops, 462, something like that, where there might be another 100 shares for sale, or maybe there's 1,000. But because you clicked buy ask, the way it works is that the most you were willing to pay was the ask price, which was 460. So now you're going to sit here on the bid and you got to wait for someone to sell you shares in order to get filled. And meanwhile, let's say the price goes up even higher. Let's say it goes to 72. It goes to 82. It goes to 92. It goes all the way up to $5. You're sure wishing that you had gotten filled that full 10,000 shares down there at 460. So how do you ensure you can get filled at the lower level? Well, given that there was at the time only 100 shares for sale, you can't do anything about that. You buy the full 100 shares that are on the offer, but let's say there was 465. There were 8,000 shares right here, and then there was a remaining at 66, 2,000 shares. So if you had put your limit to buy 10K shares at 466, you would have filled your entire order, right? But how do you do that in ThinkorSwim? Well, of course, over on Lightspeed, the platform that I'm using for real money trading is fairly easy. I would just say, this is the most I'm willing to pay right here, and I would just move my order up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cents, whatever I want. And then I click the buy button and it's going to go. In fact, I can create a custom hotkey that's going to buy, and it's just going to automatically add 10 cents above this current ask price. That way I know I will get filled. So if I actually go into settings right here, we'll go to custom orders and we'll go to buy 2,000 shares. This order right here will buy 2,000 shares through NASDAQ market as a limit order, 10 cents above the current ask price. Done. In fact, if you go over to Webull, we pop Webull back up over here. You go in here to Webull, you go down to hotkeys, and I'm not doing this just to embarrass ThinkorSwim, but you go over here, you go to trade, you go to hotkey settings, you can do the same thing. Buy, limit order, 4,000 shares, however many you want, 10 cent offset above the current ask. That offset is important. You then script it to your key, and just like that, you can execute the order. Well, unfortunately, as of today, right now, ThinkorSwim doesn't offer those offsets. They've said that they're going to offer them in the future, and maybe they do. I hope they do. But as of right now, they don't. And for what it's worth, even if they do offer them, currently the hotkeys also don't allow you to predefine share size. You always have to come in here and change your share size. So they really have some work to do to improve the hotkeys. So what we end up having to do is, during regular trading hours, some people just say buy market. And if you buy market, you're going to get filled, but you're going to get filled at market price. So here, I'm in, but I'm in at market price. Now I click sell market and I'm back out, sold at market price. But for pre-market, remember these buttons, sell market and buy market, don't work. So, and neither does the flatten button because that's a market order. So you have to either do buy ask, sell bid, sell ask, buy bid, or you could do this. You could actually bring your mouse up here on the ladder and now do this. Press the control button and watch what happens. You press the control button and see how that changed from stop to limit. So this is a limit order and now it's a stop order because I pressed the control button. So by limit, what that would do, and I'll just turn off auto send here. So this is going to send an order to buy one share at $10.20. The way this order works is you've created a limit of the most you're willing to pay. The most you're willing to pay on this is $10.20. You press the buy button right now, you will fill all the way up to a max price of $10.20. So if you were trying to buy 1 million shares, you would buy every single share that was for sale up to $10.20, and then the remaining of your order would just sit there at $10.20, and you would be a buyer on the bid. Now, this is where the level 2 comes in handy because you would be sitting here right on the bid. So we can actually see the buyers that are on the bid, the sellers that are on the ask, and by seeing that, we can understand sentiment in the market. And so level 2 is very important. But in ThinkorSwim, it's easier to actually click the ladder very quickly as the stock is moving up. So that's what I ended up doing for a lot of my trades is I click on the ladder. So now we're going to click sell market, that one share. Now over on the level 2 window, some people will do point and click over here as well. So let's see. So we do, now I got to be careful because, but the problem is, right, so it's going to pull up this order down here. Now if I control, no, so yeah. So it pulls up this second order confirmation window. There might be a way, and you can post in the comments, to make it so buying here does not trigger the order confirmation window, so it bypasses it and just goes straight. But I haven't been able to quite figure that out. So, so for me, clicking and then having to come down here and really quickly confirm that just takes too long. You know, that doesn't work for me. I mean, you know, look, it can work, but it's too slow. So this is much faster. Just the point right here and click. And of course, we turn the auto send on, and now boom, we're in, and then boom, we're back out. So that's what a lot of people are doing on ThinkorSwim, is they're just doing point and click right here on the ladder, or they're using the buttons right here. And if you're using this platform entirely for your trading, then you know you've got your chart right here as well. You've got your time and sales window, which is showing you all the orders that are going through the market. And then you can have your level 2 window right here, which you can also study. Now, some traders will go over to charts and then go to flexible grid. And when you go to the flexible grid here, you have it's flexible. It's a flexible grid. So you can create your windows a little bit differently with the way you kind of line things up. So if you had a very specific way that you wanted to line up your active trader window with your level 2 window. So we go into this here. For instance, you say, well, I really want my level 2 window, to be in this very particular spot. You can do that with the customized grid. So what you come in here and then you can create, one little row above, or you create a little sidebar, whatever the case is. So you can kind of create all of these small windows, whereas over on the trade side under active trader, it just gives you basically a standard grid. So it is more flexible over on charts under flexible grid. That's why they called it flexible grid. These guys, I'm telling you, they're ahead of the curve when it comes to thinking of the names of these windows. But I actually don't like it. I'm totally fine with just using this on this side because I feel like it's easier for me. It's a little bit more organized, and I just like it to be nice and tidy. I like to have my windows lined up kind of just perfectly. So let's look at some of these other features. So we've looked at commissions. Commissions for option contracts. I'm not an options trader, but you can see it's 65 cents with ThinkorSwim and Charles Schwab. Direct routing, no, not by default, but can be enabled, but still doesn't seem to improve execution speed, so it's not worth it, in my opinion. No routing fees because it's a commission-free broker. They do enforce the PDT rule, as do all U.S. broker-dealers. So $25,000 for a margin account, but you could use a cash account, trade settle overnight. Paper trading, technically yes, but it's slow. That's the same with Webull. Minimum account size, $0. Extended hours trading begins at 7 a.m. and goes to 8 p.m. Webull starts at 4 a.m. Lightspeed and Interactive Brokers start at 4 a.m. But most retail commission-free brokers start at 7 a.m. The desktop experience for me is a medium, and the main issues are that we do have level 2, but cannot customize with colors by tier, which is something I really like. And I know that might seem nitpicky, but it really makes a difference to me. They do have hotkeys, technically, but they don't have offsets, and we can't even, but very limited and simple. So it's like, yes, technically, but from a practical standpoint, they don't work well. You don't have offsets. You don't have selling based on percentage of your position. And then when it comes to halt levels or resumptions, you don't have halt levels or resumption quotes. Charting, the charting is good, but they don't have sub 1 minute time frames. Not yet. It accepts international customers, technically, but I've heard it's difficult. Market data, platform costs, free. Okay. Leverage, 4 times for a margin account. Futures Forex, yes, to a certain extent. Crypto, no, but you can buy ETFs that are crypto. Retirement accounts, yes. OTC stocks, yes. So how do I rank Charles Schwab? Let's go to the top. This is the Ross score. I give it a 4.9. And for me, anything less than a 5, I wouldn't use on a daily basis with real money for me. ThinkorSwim is just, unfortunately, the main issues are the hotkeys. If they fix the hotkeys, then I would consider using, I would be okay with trying it. But it doesn't work. However, we've got two things I'm going to say. Number one, we're going to keep doing this platform demo for those of you guys using ThinkorSwim who still want to optimize it and get the most out of it, because it is free and it can work. And I've used it before, and I know it can work. It's just not my favorite. However, there's also another platform that you can enable with Charles Schwab called DAS Trader. And that bumps the score up to 7.5. Now, with DAS Trader, let me just update this. You do get advanced hotkeys. You still have slower routing, but you have advanced hotkeys and halt levels. All right, so I would say for that reason, that's a compelling offering. Everything else is the same, except that your hotkeys, let's see. Oh, I have to just update this, sorry. So your hotkeys now work here, and you get the resumption quotes right here. But your downside is it's $175 a month for the DAS subscription that I like. So it's expensive. However, it is a workaround. And at the end of this episode, I'll give you a link for the platform demo of how I would set up Charles Schwab with DAS Trader. So you guys could check that out at the end of this episode if you want to consider that. It's an option. It may not be something that you want to do because of that $175 a month. And I would say if you're on a budget, to be honest, Webull is going to be a better platform because they have the hotkeys, they have the NBBO data with halt resumptions. The only disadvantage is that they don't give as much price improvement. The execution speed's a little slower, and it's owned by a Chinese company. Some people don't like that. But Webull has millions of customers. They're about the same size as, I think, Robinhood. I think they have 20 million customers. They're an international company. They've got branches in Mexico and Japan and Australia, Canada. They are owned by a Chinese holding company. So that's just something to be aware of. But their U.S. company is of course, incorporated in the United States. So, but when we're just talking about the performance of the desktop software, the ThinkorSwim platform itself, for me, is still ranking low at a 4.9. So if you want to start day trading using the ThinkorSwim platform, even though I would always encourage a beginner to practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line, unfortunately, the paper trading simulator with ThinkorSwim doesn't function pre-market and it's slow to execute orders, which means basically you have no choice but to trade with real money. That's probably the goal for them because they don't make money when you trade in the simulator. All of those trades that I just took, even though they're only, fractions, tiny positions, a fraction of all of that went through payment for order flow, which means the institutional traders got to make a little money and ThinkorSwim got to make a little money. So that's how they make money, is when you're actually trading. So even though you're kind of giving them a win by trading with real money, it really is the only way to practice in a meaningful way. And the other benefit is that it puts real money on the line. So now you get to deal with some of the emotions that come with winning and losing. Now, I've worked with so many traders over the years, but I've done a number of interviews very recently. One of my interviews was with a student named Justin who was trading using a $5 daily goal with ThinkorSwim, $5 a day. And I know some of you guys would be like, $5 a day? He would have made more money working at McDonald's. And while that's true, last year he had the best year he's ever had in his career. In his working career, in any job he's ever had, he made over $200,000 and he did it day trading. So what he knew was that if he could master $5 a day, the difference between $5 a day and $50 a day, and then $100 a day and $200, $300, $400 was increasing share size. He just had to first do proof of concept and lay a solid foundation. And so you now have the opportunity to do exactly that using the ThinkorSwim platform. So I encourage you guys to download my layout. And if you want to learn more about the strategy that I trade every single day, including the one that I recently used during a ThinkorSwim small account challenge to see how quickly I could grow account to over $25,000, I'll put the links in the comments and I'll put them to the description, top of the description, so you can learn more about my strategy. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I'll see you for the next upload real soon.